Our lives. So welcome to the Educator's Journey. Today I am with McKael Kenfield, and she is a high school teacher at Ashland High School. She's a wife, a mom of two boys ages 4 and 9, and a science teacher. She's taught for 15 years in Botany 1, Class Advisory, Science 1, Biology, Environmental Science, and Human A&P. And she has many strengths that she'll be sharing with us today, but some of them are being creative, energetic, and loving to collaborate, trying new things, and sharing things with others. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about what got you into teaching, a little bit about your journey, what made you decide to become a teacher?
So I originally started in graphic design and animation, art kind of as a major. And after I took an entry-level chemistry class, I just loved it. And I switched my entire focus to biochemistry. So went completely to the other side. I almost have enough for an art minor. I do love art. I don't get to do it as much as I did on my own, but I like to really infuse art into my lesson plans, especially anatomy and phys. You can really see how I incorporate that art into there. But anyways, I went to school for that, and I wasn't really sure. I knew I wanted to work with young kids or kids. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to surgery and like medical field, or if I wanted to teach, or what I wanted to do. And then when I graduated, I just ended up in a job in surgery working for an oral and maxillofacial surgeon for 3.5 years. And I was certified in radiology and running kind of like anesthesiology assisting and PAs and CTs or panos, CTs, stuff like that. And I loved that. I did love that. But I just didn't foresee that forever in my future, and started really dabbling in and I was good at when we put on talks and stuff of keeping the crowd energized and creative, and how do we land and talk to dentists about different procedures. And I just kept stemming and coming full circle, and people around told me about teaching. They're like, and I was like, and so one thing led to another, and I took my master's in education and got that. And I guess I kind of ended up the best of both worlds, because I was able to teach science and do the medical thing. And then also, before I had kids, I worked in the summertime when traumas and surgeries picked up, and they needed extra help. So I kind of got to do the best of both worlds. I got it all.
Wow, that's amazing. So you really started out, you said you started out with art and then went into the medical field, stayed there, and then went into teaching.
Yep.
That's amazing. And so are you still dabbling in the medical field at all? You said you did a little bit when you were making
No,
the transition.
honestly, I don't know if the Zoom schools continued. I started thinking more about it. I was like, well, this isn't exactly what I showed up for or signed up for.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. So you said that you use a little bit of your art in your teaching today. Is that drawing things for your class, or?
Anatomy, we do lots of life-size skeletal and looking at the different bone features and paying attention from left and right. We do clay anatomy, which are these mini skeletons, and I lecture and we build the heart together. We build the whole digestive system, the brain, and then they build the muscles on the exterior portion of the skeleton. So there's a lot involved in all of it.
Wow, that's amazing. That's kind of intimidating thinking about having to do that, like how you actually make that happen and make it look the way it's supposed to look.
Yeah, and that's what kids, even with their life-size skeletons, when they're drawing them at first, they're like, how is this? I'm not an artist. And I was like, we're going to do it step by step. And in that process, we're going to really pay attention to all the bumps and the nodules, and we're going to learn them. And you'll be impressed by the time you leave. Like, I promise you'll probably want to keep this piece for yourself. And typically, I haven't had anybody leave it behind, but typically they're impressed. They're like, wow, I did this.
That's really cool. That's awesome. So, some things that you really enjoy about teaching is inspiration, and that's working with colleagues as well as some other things you do in your teaching. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I thrive on inspiration, and I really like to be part of groups and part of things that people push me and make me kind of think outside the box and strive and give a little and share a little, and then I can take from there and go from here. And I thrive in that environment. I have to, like, I try to find colleagues that are going to kind of nudge me in the right way or offer something, and then I can be like, oh, I can email back and, well, here's one of mine that I just created or something like that. In the past, I was invited to a group, Keep Learning on Track, KLT group,
Oh, yes.
and I was part of that. Or was it? Yeah, for a couple years. And then I became the leader for that. And so I would kind of prep it. And then it would be teachers in my school that wanted to be there. And we would just really encourage each other and keep each other trying new things. Even if it was epic failures, we're like, okay, anybody have any ideas to improve this? Or should we just scratch that altogether? So that was inspiring to me. Another good one I thought was studying skillful teaching. I did that and really enjoyed that process. And I integrate that through my lessons all together. And I find myself right now really pulling on different things that I've learned there. And the Facebooks have groups have been critical during this time of isolation and stuff. I've really reached out to subject matter topic ones, collaboration, anything that I think if we can divide and conquer at least, or maintain or wow or keep our pizzazz, keep the learners engaged any way I can, when we were kind of isolated even more than what we are in the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to go from, it sounds like the trainings that were provided for you in the district, the Keep Learning on Track and the Studying Skillful Teaching, those were all provided through the district? Those
Yeah.
kinds of things? Okay. And so to have a collaborative type of system, group collaboration with others in your building where you're working on these things together, to then be isolated and teaching on Zoom, that's such a difference.
It was dramatic. It's just like taking away your stage, taking away everything, anybody else to bounce ideas off, not only your department team for science in general. And a lot of us in our school teach lots of subjects by ourselves, because for a small school, we offer a lot of different science classes. So there's a lot of us that have singletons. So there's not another person even to bounce out ideas and stuff. So it's critical, I think, to have those little pockets of inspiration to help you keep thriving in the biz, I guess. You want to keep it engaged, and there's no way we can compete probably, with social media and TikToks and this and that, but we can do the best we can and really make it engaging for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about COVID and how COVID affected your teaching and your students' learning?
Yeah, COVID, I'd like to say there's pros and cons to it. And part of it was, I think I don't know, the downfall of COVID teaching was the cameras. In our district, we chose not to enforce it because we also had the fires. Well, I should say at the high school, because we had the fires come through. And so we just didn't know who was in a place where they could have a camera on and whatnot. And as a teacher, I didn't want to be someone that nagged or threatened, you're going to get points off, or we're not going to start the lesson, or, but it was just this, I thought for sure in my heart that I could win students over. Like, I thought I will be so inspirational, so fun, so they're dynamic that they're going to want to turn on their cameras. And it was soul crushing when sometimes there was like 2 cameras on and you're talking to this blank screen day after day, hour after hour, and even when I would ask, I didn't want to beg or I just didn't want to be that teacher. I thought that that's not my job, and I didn't want to do that. And I thought, I honestly believed that I could win everybody over, and I didn't. And that was probably just part that really broke me down. Even when I would ask like, I knew that, out of so many kids, I was like, could I just get a few more kids to turn on their cameras would really make my day. And like, nobody would.
Oh,
And then you get sad, you get angry. And so then I just stopped asking because I just couldn't, it was hard to go on with the lesson and be exciting and engaging is what I wanted to bring to them. And I honestly don't know what's going on in their life, but I just thought I could do that for some reason. And that was a goal of mine that was probably the hardest lesson out of there. I physically taught out of my closet. I rearranged my closet because my son got the extra bedroom to teach in because he felt like he would be distracted in his room, which I felt like that was very honorable of a 9-year-old to realize that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I cleaned out and I put the backdrop. You'd never know it was my closet, but yes, my shoes were lining and towers like next to me. You just zoom in close enough and
No. That's amazing. You had such good reception in your closet, though. That's pretty good internet.
Yeah. And I had a 3-year-old running around. There was some real fun and embarrassing moments there with that going on at the time he was 3. So it kept it very lively. And I was thankful that my 9-year-old was really good and engaged, and he has a really dynamic, awesome teacher that really pulled him in, and he did well. But I know that that's not the same for all of his friends or anything like that. But I think I did such a horrible job in spring for him last year that he didn't like me as a teacher, as his elementary teacher. So he was like, anything's better than you, Mom. He's like, you teach high school for a reason. I was like, thank you.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I used to teach kindergarten and first grade, and my kids were not even happy with me trying to teach them. They're middle school, so maybe that's what it is, but they were not happy with me at all. So yeah.
We're in our specialty areas, and
yes.
moms just, there's that, they can just be real with us and honest, and I think that gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Or they'll just assume you don't know what you're talking about, even though you do, because you're a mom. So how could you possibly know?
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. But you did have some Zoom wins, right? You had things that went well with Zoom. Do you want to share a few of those with us?
Yeah, I feel like when I look back at it, I really did pep talks with kids because, students got down on themselves and I got down like we're not doing 1/10 of what we should have done in this week and this and that. And, it started to like wear down on you about science content. And then I just kind of stopped back and I like thought, the kids are doing awesome things. And these are all things that are great for future jobs and future skills. And I just kind of gave them talks that, you're being self-motivated a lot of times. Even thank you for being here. Even if you're kind of taking breaks, typing skills. I was like, they were saying typing improved between like this or this, their perseverance over things, the ability to communicate in multiple ways. Like not only were they talking to me, but they had to have the video on, but then, it'd freeze and glitches or email or were you Canvas messaging or what were we doing in that? They can now upload things. They can change files from a PNG to a JPEG to a this or that. They're creating online versus just scrolling or consuming online. I had them trying art in different programs online. And I was just like, all of these are great skills to have. And these are skills that I have in my job. In the 2 jobs that I've had to have these skills. And I think maybe students might have been lacking them before, and now because it was this learning curve and kids are like, how do I change that to a JPEG or how do I save that into this? How do I, it's some of those things that you assume that people knew or know, and they don't. I thought critical thinking, being an advocate for themselves, having to communicate directly with the teacher instead of kind of going a different route. Tips, tricks, tools like How do you do a screenshot or a snippet on a Mac, an iPad, a laptop? How do you use those in the same way? Because using an iPad as your main device is completely different. So I think they've done a tremendous job. They have grown. They've exponentially grown, learning different platforms and formats and all of that. Plus, I think we bonded and we built relationships in a unique way.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way we could, but I think we made it happen. I knew things about kids, even though maybe I never physically saw them. I knew what book they were reading, what colors was their favorite, what art did they like to do. And part of that was infusing art into the assignments so that I got to know kids.
So are there things that you did throughout COVID to engage students that you'll continue to do now that you're back? Are you back full time with your students now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We have some students that have chose or that have to remain in CDL or chose to do CDL at this point. But most of my classes, I have maybe under 4 in each class that are in CDL.
Okay. So are there things that you'll take moving forward in your teaching that you've learned through working virtually with students that you'll want to continue to do in the future?
Yeah, I think there's activities that you can just really infuse, like just even starters. I've started in Zoom. I would play a music piece from a movie, and then they would guess or put into the chat what that was. I'm gonna transfer that. Kids just really enjoy that, and it gets them talking about things like, what's your favorite movie? I didn't like that movie. I did. And you just be surprised of how much opens up from just that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I did Spotify lists made for class music. So when they were working on work, I could play their class list as long as it was like school appropriate, it wasn't an explicit song marked or whatever. And so that was kind of fun for personality of different classes. Riddles. I like doing riddles in class. That was inspired by, I think, Alexa, my kids. We got this Alexa and my kid, and you ask it and it'll tell you a riddle. And so the family likes it. I really did a lot about infusing when I was in the classroom technology, but now I've kind of backed off of that and I'm more doing gamifying and carnival kind of like hands-on, like almost board games. So swinging kind of the other way, because I think kids are like tapped out of the technology bit a little bit and they're really enjoying it. So I've done like blow up this review, which is, I got a darts, which I wouldn't recommend this for like younger kids.
Make sure they're older.
Where I teach them how to write levels of questions, moving up like what's a basic one and advancing that writing question technique. And then they put them in a balloon and they blow them up and then we put them on the board and then we pop them and answer them and they get points for that. Or I bought the little alligator kindergarten thing. You push the teeth on it. They answer the question and you go up and they have to push a tooth. And if it snaps down, they don't get that question. They love that. And it gets your heart racing. It really does. And it's something so simple and ridiculous. One of the new ones, it's just like, one of the new ones I haven't done yet is I checked out these Spheros, these little robot things, and you can like put them to your phone and you can bowl with them. Huh. And so now we're going to do a bowling review of vocab words. So if they get it right, they can take a shot. And so we're going to, I think I called it like spare me the review or something, spare me something. Fortune cookies, you can do those for review. I have finished the drawing. I don't know. I'm trying to think of, and the kids like it.
Yeah.
And it engages them. And I can also keep them all separate. And any one of those things I can share with another person in a different department. Anybody can do those. It doesn't have to be specific to science.
Yeah, those are great ideas. Do you have like a resource you go to for these ideas, or do you just come up with them? Like you
Sometimes I just come up with them. The bowling thing, I got the idea from the Sphero. Like I brought 2 home for my sons to play with and us to play with, just so that I could get aware of what they do. And I was going to do more of elaborate programming one, but I just don't have the time for it. So I'm like, how can I do this? I thought, well, bowling, and I don't have any little pins, but I have like mini Jengas that are that I got at the Dollar Tree years ago. And I paint those, the ends pink, green, and yellow, because I do a traffic lighting, which is a studying skillful teaching, where if you go through a review, highlight all the red ones you don't know, yellow, you know those questions, green, you got them. And then if they pull the pieces, they have to ask one of those questions on their review. But each review is different for each kid, but it targets and prioritizes their studying to what they don't know and what they do know. But I use the Jenga pieces for bowling pins.
That's
So
awesome.
it's crossing over, and I didn't have to buy anything more. And I was like, and the kids are stoked about it. And it's something so simple that, I mean, obviously I didn't invent bowling, but it's like, why can't we you could do it with even tennis balls, like little mini, and I grabbed some tennis balls just in case the battery life doesn't work on that. I don't know. I just think of things that sometimes my son will come home, you know, the little fortune tellers or cootie catchers.
Yeah, I remember those.
You can make those for review, and then the kids can play them, and you can be distance. You know, these are things that you don't have to be, or you can put a sketch on a board or a couple sketch, and then at the end of the class say, finish this drawing based on something we learned in class, and, you know, write an exit ticket, you know, what was apply it to the learning target. Or it's simple, but it's fun, it's artistic, and it keeps kids going, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking I would love to be in your class, just knowing that each day I show up, we're probably going to do something fun and educational.
Yeah,
I mean, can you imagine if every class was like that for our kids?
it
How
would be
wonderful
fantastic.
it would be. They would be so motivated and excited for all of their classes. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well,
That's
thank
really
you.
cool. Absolutely. So, another question I have for you is, if you could leave people that are watching this with one message, what would it be?
Pull out all your stops, your grand finale right now. I know we're all tired. I'm just every day. I would say my pros are creativity and just kind of thinking outside the box, but my con honestly is time management. So if you're sitting here and you're wondering, oh my gosh, how can I keep up with, you know, something like that? I'm terrible at time management, like not time management in the classroom, but time management of my family, grading. I will put in my heart and soul, and then it's just like sometimes it's like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you know, and my sons, and then I get home and I'm trying to do everything, and bless my husband, he picks up and tries to help, and this right now is the worst it's ever been, because I feel like I have this level that I want to be at, to be a teacher, and this expectation for myself, but I can't maintain it. And family needs to come number one. And so I'm really trying to bow out and get home to my family, but I just don't know how to stop. Like it's not in me. I'm a type A personality. I want things right. And I also strive to be that teacher, like make everybody want to come to that class and enjoy it. But I also have a family, and I have 2 sons that need me. And I'm doing room and Zoom at the same time right now, which is conflicting and hard, and I feel inadequate. So I would say my con is that time. And if you've worked that out, then share with me. But my pro is creativity, and I'd love to help or share anything that I have. And your grand finale, it's, make the kids forget about what happened last year. Just tantalize them with right now in it for the last, to be like, ooh, school is fun. I'd say the grand finale. Just try one thing new until the end of the year. Like, what's something new you're going to try to pull out that's going to be the fireworks?
Absolutely. I love that. And, I appreciate you saying that about that balance, because I know for myself as an educator, there's so much I want to do. There's that teacher I want to be, and there's that huge learning curve of learning how to do it remotely. And now you're doing it remotely as well as in person. So there's, that's, as you
Two
said,
jobs.
2 jobs. It's very difficult. And your kids need you in a way that they have never needed you before, because of being homeschooled or maybe being back in the classroom. But that adjustment is a lot too. So it's like trying to be the best in a totally unknown, unexperienced situation on every front. And it's just impossible to do and not get burned out.
Which I think that's a good thing too for kids to see, is that we're human and that we make mistakes and that we're learning the programs just with right alongside of them. And honestly, we learn things slower than they do.
Yeah.
Like that's just, as you get older, that's how our brain works. That's why when you're younger, to be exposed to all of this, because you can learn at a faster rate than when you get older.
Yeah. Well, I just have so much respect for you and what you're doing, and the fact that you are trying to learn and grow even through this really difficult time, because sometimes we go back to what is comfortable and what we know. And this is when I've seen teachers kind of throw up their hands and like, no, no, I'm not doing this. And so it's just so nice that you're pushing yourself, hopefully gently, for the most part, to learn and grow, and you are modeling that for your students, and that it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
That's wonderful
Exactly.
too.
Just try one thing
Just one
and
thing.
share it and share it. And maybe you'll get back something from someone else. Then you'll have two.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Like if everyone tried at least one thing that's covered in these teacher educator journeys, it would be phenomenal. That would be great.
Exactly.
So the last question I have for you is, how do you think yourself or teachers could use help with teaching? What is it we need to do to help teachers to be the best teachers they can be, or to feel supported? What can be done, in your opinion?
I think, and that's the thing, my admin will be, how can I support you? Or, and it's hard, but and I know that there's stickiness around it, but I'm spending time writing grants for these fun things. Those skeletons I was talking to you about, they're $650 a piece.
Wow.
And that's the group that goes with them. And they're really, but it's a best way to learn. The clay doesn't go old. Like I've had it for umpteen years, and you can teach all the different lessons. It's hands-on. You can see it in 3 dimension versus a piece of paper. You build the muscles on top of each other so they see the connecting and insertion. There's no other way, I think, that you can teach it to that level with them. However, it's like slow process. I'm thankful for the Ashland Schools Foundation because every year they support me in those skeletons, and I'm writing other grants. And I think I'll die before I get all of them. But retire or die, I don't know. But I'll keep doing them every year. But it's like funding those things and funding that all the way down to something where you want, a set of tennis balls for your classroom, or just, I don't know, going on and funding those, or also differentiating PD. Like we're all at different, even if you do a technology one, we're at different levels. People can, just like we do in our classrooms.
Yeah.
There's the people that are speedy at tech, and then there's the people that, I can't imagine the teachers that weren't using really tech or not using, and how tremendous their incline for learning was this year. And honestly, I want everybody to be engaging, but I think we all have our own expertise and our own way of teaching, that we don't want to be a cookie cutter. We don't it's like everybody, kind of when everybody gets an iPad, it's like, okay, everybody's going to do a edu creation today, or everyone's going to do a claymation because there's only so many free apps, right? Then the kids would get bored, or like, I just did a claymation in math, or I just did. So it does take differentiation, variety, diversity, all in it to make it spectacular for the students. And I would say, diversifying and differentiating, and also funding, like even specialty. We don't really get to go to national science teacher conventions anymore. And that was a great place that I learned. And I used to be part of a technology group that would go to the big conference, then I'd come back and I'd teach to the school, the one from each department, and then they would go back to their departments, and it was a phenomenal model. But the funding was just cut, and so it lost that. And I loved that. That's where I thrived, because I would learn, and then I would get to share it, and then people would bounce back, and they'd make it better than what I made it. And that's where I think you get inspired, igniting the fuel, the fire inside you, and that's what's good for kids.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's some administrators watching. Just kidding. I don't think we have any administrators here, but it's good to know what teachers need so that even at the university level, hopefully we can do some things and take this to whoever might listen and have some power to make some changes. So I agree with everything you said. It's so important.
It's even
So,
the
so
basic to making copies. Like every school should have a copy room with somebody making copies. I mean, I think that that would be well spent. I mean, I don't know. Do you want teachers creating or do you want them standing there waiting for their copies? Like which
and
is more efficient of that time you're paying them?
and the copy machine always, always,
Always.
always jams right when you have to be back in
We're
class.
like infamous for breaking things, and those are like $80,000 machines. Some of
I
them.
know.
So don't let someone who first gets their driver's license drive a BMW. Do you?
Yes. No.
No. I was like, don't let the teachers near them.
We have too much to worry about. That's not the expertise. That's not our that's not within
That
our
would be
zone
a
of proximal
simple thing.
development.
That'd be a simple thing just to take that off teachers' plates, so that laminating, copying, and that foundational piece right there would be super helpful. Just right there.
I see here in the comments that somebody said, because I can't see unfortunately who is writing, I just see Facebook
Yeah.
user, but they said that's something we have in Texas. We submit requests for copies and someone makes them for us. I'm wondering if that's Molly that's writing that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is really awesome.
we've had that at our high school, and it's kind of ebb and flowed. For a while, they didn't have it. Now, I mean, we're pinching by to the end of the year because we've been CDL and not doing that. But I think I hear other schools don't have it and stuff, and I just find it would probably save them money, just copy machine fixes, if one person was trained and using that machine.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Oh, and it was Molly. Yay, I got it right. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything that we didn't cover or that we missed that you wanted to make sure we talked about a little bit today as part of your educator journey?
I'm trying to think. No, I thank the groups that out there that I'm on Facebook, because it's, you know, when I was in the zone in the closet working, it was very isolating, and I felt really thankful to contribute and to be able to have that safety net with these great creators and same mind frames out there to be able to go and get feedback and help when I needed it. And there was a drive with, like, you could look, oh, here's something. I didn't have to recreate. And I felt like teachers divided and conquered, to help one another out. And it's an honor to be part of that.
Oh, I think we got
Cut off.
pause there.
Oh, I just said I wanted to say
that.
That's okay. I just wanted to say
Okay,
thanks.
well, I can't hear you unfortunately anymore. I can see you, but I can't hear you. But thank you so much for joining us. It was great meeting you face to face. I'm sure I'll see lots more of you since I'll be around the high school next year. And yeah, I love having you as part of the Teachers Collaborative, because the comments you make, the information you give, your responses to people are so well thought out and just so helpful. So thank you so much, McKael, for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, good. They can still hear you.
Okay, thank you. I was going to use some of my sign language, but
okay, thank you so much.